What is going on, Bulls and Bears? Today, let's talk about what's happening in big cities and a lot of different big cities. But today we're going to focus on Chicago. And this was reported out of several news outlets, including, surprisingly, CNN. Big companies keep leaving Chicago. What is going on? A series of big companies have exited Chi-Town. And even with the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox, they still want to leave. Imagine that. Tyson Foods is the latest company closing its Chicago offices, joining Boeing, Caterpillar, and Citadel, among many other companies getting out of the city. The poultry producer said that it's bringing together its corporate employees and headquarters, going to Arkansas, resulting in the closure of 3 offices, including downtown Chicago. And that's going to be thousands of employees out of work. Tyson's move serves another blow to Chicago's image. Not just that, they're going to be losing those tax dollars. Corporate headquarter, big business tax dollars. New York's already seen a massive outflow of companies. I remember New York, they tried to incentivize high wealth individuals and businesses to stay and try to talk them into it, and it didn't work. A lot of them went to Florida and other low-cost states like Texas, lower taxes anyways. Now, this comes on the tail of McDonald's CEO criticizing the city for crime. CEO Chris Kempczynski recently said that crime is, quote, seeping into every corner of our city. And he said that he's frequently asked, what's going on in Chicago? Well, it's not just Chicago. Cities all around the country, all around the United States, are going to be death camps at some point. I'm saying in the next 2 years. And I don't normally give time frames. But what's going on here with the drought, the cost of living, all the disruptions in normal business? What's normal? Well, we're not returning back to normal anymore. And the question is now just how soon will financial Armageddon get here? It's not just going to be financial Armageddon. It's going to be people starving without food. The food lines are going to get worse. The rising costs are going to get worse. Cost of living is going to get worse. Your insurance costs are going to get up. Your car insurance, your home insurance, they're going to keep going up. Fuel may come down some, but you're going to see more pain at the pump for a very long time. Look at oil. Oil is below $90 a barrel right now, and gas is not coming down as fast as oil is. And I think oil is going to jump back up. We've been burning through our strategic oil reserves in a dramatic way. And when that gets low, and when we see these cutbacks out of OPEC, look out, because it's going to be pain at the pump times 1,000. The CEO continued, quote, we have violent crime that's happening in our restaurants. We're seeing homelessness issues in our restaurants. Up in Seattle, and this is me talking now, up in Seattle now, they had to close several Starbucks because so many homeless people kept coming into the restaurants and hanging out there, trying to use the bathrooms to clean up and just being a nuisance to the customers. The McDonald's CEO continues, we have drug overdoses that are happening. We see in our restaurants every single day what's happening to society on a large scale. And yes, society is crumbling. People are becoming more broke, more desperate. When poverty rises, danger rises, crime rises, and poverty is rising. We've got 20 plus million people now that are behind on the utility bills. They have to get assistance and repayment programs, or they have to get specials where the power company won't shut their power off, and where they try to give them an even power bill throughout the year to make up for the higher costs in the summer. Well, it's not just the summer. This winter, with the oil bills and the heating bills for this winter, is going to be absolute nightmare for millions of people as well. You notice the summers are getting hotter, the winters are getting colder. The volatility just in the seas, the cost of utility bills is just mind-blowing. And this CEO continues, it's difficult to recruit people to work at the company's headquarters, noting, quote, one of the things that I hear from our employees is that I'm not sure if it's safe to come downtown. That is the CEO of a large corporation, unquote. And we have to ask ourselves, how much longer until chaos erupts? Will it be some news story where people get outraged and all of a sudden the cities are being looted and burning? Is it going to be on the economic front? Will there be some sort of mega failure that's going to trigger a domino effect and the entire financial system comes down? With all these derivatives, you have companies leveraged to unknown amounts because it's such a large scale amount of debt, and we know that it can never be paid back. So at some point, will something break and the entire system comes down? Will it be the supply chains? We see the fuel costs. How many more pipelines have to blow up or leak or explode? How many more food processing plants have to mysteriously catch on fire before we start seeing even more food shortages that we're seeing now? Every story that I read about food lines and food pantries and places that hand out food, the lines are getting longer. Um, Food is becoming more scarce, becoming more hard to come by. Every story I read about farms, things are getting harder. The cost of fertilizer, the cost of energy, the cost of everything, right? This is headed into, um, I think, just ultimately chaos. Mad Max, possibly down the road. I think within 2 years, we're going to see either something massively collapse or just a steady decline over time. And at the end of the next 2 years, I think before 2024, this country is going to be unrecognizable unless something drastic changes for the better. And I don't know what that's going to be. I mean, people like to watch these movies with superheroes and Superman and stuff like that. Maybe Superman will come down and, you know, fix things and knock out the bad guys and wake people up. And, you know, people tell me to be more optimistic. Maybe I'll start believing in the Tooth Fairy and Superman to make myself more optimistic. Maybe Santa Claus this winter will come and, you know, make the cost of living go down. And in his sack of toys, he's going to bring out, you know, a magic wand, and we're just going to wave it around and everything's fine. Or the cost of living went down. Nobody's in debt anymore. Everybody's got enough money to pay for food. There's no more food shortages. The cost of oil and gas is going to collapse with the magic wand, right? So maybe I should turn this into a fantasy channel and start dancing around like they do on TikTok and dancing and just laughing and, you know, say everything's going to be fine. Everything is awesome, like the Lego movie. I did watch the Lego movie. I have kids, so I have to watch some of these some of these movies. Maybe I should just start watching cartoons and just you know, kick back and just kind of, you know, recreational use and all that stuff. Speaking of that, maybe this is good news. The current administration is going to be pardoning thousands of people convicted of simple possession of pot, which I think is a good thing, right? Nonviolent people, they just want to smoke some stuff and laugh, I guess, you know. And do you want to pay tax dollars to keep these people locked up? Do you want to pay for all their meals, for the inmates to watch them, for all the costs that go along with locking somebody up? Do you want to pay? Do you want to work and pay taxes to lock up Cheech and Chong, basically? So there's some good news. People say I don't have good news. And by the way, people often accuse me of being under the influence myself. I look like this. My eyes are red a lot of times. Over the last few days, my allergies have been knocking me out, man. I've just been barely staying awake, having to drink cups of coffee just to stay awake during the day. It's been a weird stretch for me. I don't know if it's stress, if it's I ate something or I'm breathing something that I'm allergic to. So I'm not under the influence, I promise you guys. I wouldn't come on this camera and do these reports under the influence. I just look a little weird sometimes. I promise you I'm not under the influence. What do you think about today's news? The pot offenders, a lot of them being released. I think it's a good thing. What do you think about the companies leaving Chicago and other big cities? A lot of companies left San Francisco Bay Area. The homelessness, the crime was getting out of control. Big cities are going to be death camp, folks. That's what I think. But how soon until the real danger hits? There's already real danger. Crime is exploding. Poverty is exploding. So it's already happening on a large scale. But how long until the collapse? Will we plunge into Mad Max overnight because something snaps? Or is this going to be still a steady decline, descent into chaos? Cities are going to be far worse, if you ask me, than any place else. I would love to be further out in the country myself. Luckily, I'm not in downtown here, kind of in the suburbs, but it could still get dangerous when so many people around you, if they end up in poverty and are desperate. So word of caution, folks, is be careful out there, plan accordingly, hug your family, be safe, and thanks for being here. Wish I could give you all a big hug. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being here, guys. We're going to sign off. Bye for now, everybody.